Okay, so we were talking about the Tulsi bill, right? And
Yeah.
I read the article that you sent, Steve, and I didn't look at the piece of legislation, so I can't really. But going off of what they said in the article is that they would pull funding from schools if they didn't adhere to this certain to like having transgender kids like I don't know that the rule is that they're supposed to adhere to if it's you're biologically you're born as a male that you can only play in male sports. I mean, I don't know how you would like that's so weird when you start getting schools involved in people's medical history, and you know what I'm saying. Like I
Right.
think that that is all convoluted, and that's why I think that we're really what we should be in other words, I was disappointed that she would put a piece of legislation out like this. If that is the truth, that that it would withhold funding if you don't adhere to this, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
I
Right.
don't agree to that, because if anything, it should be that you are advocating for less powers from the government. Like what
Right,
we
right.
really liked from her was that what was it, the Presidential Powers Act that she had put out, that piece of legislation that would be lessening presidential powers, right?
Yeah.
Their ability to just you know have carte blanche
Yeah.
essentially to do whatever they want, like that we really admired in her, right? The fact that she would go and do something like that, especially when people kept saying that she was doing this because she wants to have more power. And it's like, okay, well, this is something that would lessen the powers of that she
Yeah.
would have. So I respect something like that, but her doing something like this where it's like, so you're implementing more rules for us, why, like more and more like arbitrary shit, where that's where I think that that's a misuse of what we would think of as government, that in my opinion.
I agree with that 100%. And also, I feel like, first of all, like I think the whole sports and all that stuff, like I just think it's a bunch of bullshit. Like, first of all, why should the federal government be involved with it? And number two, like I don't really like organized sports, like professional sports. I think sports are great if you're playing against your friends or whatever, and it's exercise, and yeah, you have a winner and a loser, that's great. But like, this whole idea of like, Christopher Lash wrote about this, right, in the 80s, whatever, that people go to these big sports events and stadiums, and you root for your team, and it's almost like a kind of tribal, like a lower level of consciousness where people are just like focused on the team and everything. Like, why is Tulsi concerned about teams? And then, obviously, yes, this is a uh top down type of thing, like we're more control. I don't see why we really um why that's so more important than, why aren't we concerned with the militarism and with uh uh and also, just from a practical point of view, as a politician, like this is like suicide, because she has a record of being, she was had when she was against homosexuality, right? And yes, she disavowed that, and yes, she disavowed that before Hillary Clinton and other people came out against, Defense of Marriage Act or whatever, man and woman. She, but she, rightly or wrongly, she's going to be attacked for that, because they're going to say, see, people are going to say, see, this is the same person who was anti-gay back in 15 years ago.
Which
Now,
can I just say?
no,
Can I just say
I'm
that?
just saying people are going to attack her for that, and I wouldn't attack her for that, but people are going to attack her for that, and they're going to say, look, and she's going to lose a lot of support, because this is a lightning rod issue. So a lot of people are going to, who might have supported Tulsi, like people on the liberals who might have supported Tulsi at some point, are going to say, oh, I can't support her because she's against trans people.
Yeah, if we were still trying to make cold calls for people to support, this would be just as difficult and trying to explain as the voting present on the impeachment.
Right.
It's like, why are you making yourself a lightning rod? And I think she's got a reason. I think there's a reason she's doing it on her way out the door. I don't know if it's an appeal for some kind of centrist, populist, maybe leaning right a little.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Daisy, what were you going to
Yeah.
say?
No, I'm sorry.
Daisy, you were going to say
What
something.
I was going to say was that it doesn't matter whether or not she agrees with it or not. The whole point is that as a legislature, you're not supposed to put your own feelings into like a piece of legislation, something that is going to like have consequences, negative consequences on somebody else, you know. Like ultimately, I don't like, for me personally, I don't care if she's anti-gay or like, that's you. Like, I don't even care if someone is racist. If you're racist, you're racist. Like, that's your problem. That's not, you know, like, everybody is allowed to be whatever the fuck they want. It's not for everybody to live up to my standards. Do I have to agree with you? No. You know, but like, if that's who you want to be, you want to be a racist, you want to be a racist. If she feels, but I mean, I think with this thing, that at least from what I was reading in that article, and like I said, like I can't really make a judgment on the piece of legislation until I actually read it. But based on that article, how they were trying to paint it was that if this was like an attack on, you know, transgender people. But you know, the way that she at least presented it or whatever was that she was protecting women in sports. So for her, that justifies it. Do you know what I'm saying? And like that, it makes sense to her. And I don't, again, that is her opinion. She's allowed to do it. And that's how I just feel that what I didn't like about it was that, why are you imposing this kind of stuff, like more rules on schools? You know, like, that is what I think is wrong. But
there's like a big Time magazine article on this, right? I didn't see the big Time magazine article on Tulsi Gabbard supporting Julian Assange and Snowden, right? Like, they'll focus on this article, this topic, because they're going to like, oh, gotcha, right? They can have this big thing about Tulsi Gabbard is really a right-wing bigot, and she's not really progressive. And, you know, anybody who's out there supporting her is basically, you know, transphobe. And, you know, that to me, I mean, obviously it's Time magazine, right? So you got to take it with a grain of salt. And I didn't see the original legislation because their link there didn't, I went to the link on congress.gov, but there wasn't, the legislation wasn't there at that point. So I didn't actually read the legislation. And I think Tulsi, like, in her defense, I think she does what she thinks is right. Or she thinks what is right by her constituents.
Yeah, there's something up on congress.gov now, but is there details to it? Is the text there? It's just a little blurb.
Yeah, that's what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
Before.
Yeah. So it's a modification to Title IX.
I mean, because the thing is that, like, that's also what, you know, was said when she was supporting the victims or the family members of the 9/11, you know, families that passed away, you know, that she did the press conference and everybody was just saying, oh, she's just doing this to get attention and, you know, to get the right wingers and the conspiracy theorists and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, it's just, that's what she feels is a priority to her, you know, like it's something that resonates with her. She's really into sports, and I'm sure that she does. Like, she has seen, especially because Joe Rogan talks about this all the time, about how, you know, when it comes to, you know, transgender people, unfortunately, they're being used as this way to, like, really get at anybody, you know, and like censor anybody, you know, like that's how they're seeing it. And then it continues on with this division amongst the people, where it's like, oh no, you're a homophobe, or you're a transphobe, or you're, you know, like constantly, you know, name calling and doing all these things, when ultimately that person, so if this person has this one belief, that's it, that erases the person as a whole individual, and they are just because they don't agree with you on this one thing. Like, that is not how we should be looking at it, again, in my opinion.
Right. Well, that's the way the media works, right? I mean, that's the way the dominant media, like the Time magazine article, that's a smear. I mean, it's not just objective news. It's an opportunity to smear this person.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And Tulsi said as much, that, you know, identity politics is used as a weapon, rather than people legitimately, you know, believing that they're, you know, fighting for people's rights in a lot of times, you know. So I think she this might be right up her alley. Like, on her way out, she might just think she's giving the middle finger to to some people. Who knows? You know. I don't
I
know.
know, I really do think that she does agree with this legislation. Again, I
Yeah.
haven't read it, but I I don't know Tulsi to put her name behind, at least from what I do know of her, and you know that
Yeah.
I don't idolize her like that, you know? Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
out all the time. So,
Yeah.
but for me, I just from what I've seen of her, she doesn't put her name, especially if she introduced the bill, that she's putting her name behind something. And I don't, she's not a vindictive person. She's not, again, from what I've seen, you know, she's somebody who this is just something that resonates with her. It's a priority for her, and that's why she did it, whether we agree with it or not. And what, of course, the liberal left, unfortunately, they're gonna demonize
Yeah.
anything that she does. And of course, they had to bring up her homophobic past, and you know how, of course, she, you know, had to come out with a video to apologize and all this stuff. And of course, the video was disingenuous, right? It couldn't be
Right.
that she actually genuinely feels like she
Yeah.
changed, you know, because other people in life change because of
Yeah.
your life experiences.
But I also want to say that, you know, if this is a priority for her, it's a priority for her having already addressed many wonderful, fantastic issues. And
Right.
through, I mean, you know, Assange stuff and big tech and war and like I say, powers of the president being more in line with what they should be. And just right down the line, you know, UBI and, you know, COVID relief and all that. It's almost like, you know, there's not a lot left or something that she's pushed that, you know, that she feels strongly about, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah, I am questioning the politics of it. I just really don't quite get that. It's like, you know, you're going to be attacked for this, and that's going to be one of the last things people think of as you're heading out the door. And why are you doing that? I don't get the politics of it at all.
Maybe she's just a big egomaniac and she
Yeah, right.
just wants to be in the news. She knew that this was going to get her those headlines, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think
She seems.
you have to separate the, you know, the policy and the platform from the personality, right? So I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, we get so fixated on, you know, vote for this person, you know, this brand of detergent versus this one, and you know, like I support Tulsi on like 90, you know, 5+% of what she stands for. Maybe I disagree with her on this. Doesn't
Probably
mean
where I am.
I wouldn't vote for her if she ran for president. I might not campaign for her on that issue or whatever. Or maybe I would ask her to clarify that. But, you know, it's just, like you said, Daisy, it's just, you know, you can't get fixated on, you can disagree with people. It doesn't mean you have to totally cancel them and negate, you know, the opportunity of working with them or whatever. So I think,
Yeah. And again, these things don't happen in a vacuum, right? I mean, you're going to again be up against a Tulsi Gabbard or Pete Buttigieg or something, you know,
exactly,
or Kamala
right.
Harris or something. It's like,
Right. If
so
that's your
it's
choice,
like,
I mean, come on.
yeah.
So.